welcome to the dollhouse. This is a video I'm so nervous about filming. This video is actually the video that started this whole journey. Really quickly, we're gonna do a quick little short synopsis since it's the first video I'm doing within the series to talk about what is this, and then we're gonna get right into it. So I'll try to make this intro as short as possible. What this is this series in both Portuguese and English is going to be a series where I listen to music, listen to an entire body of work, and tell you how I think about it. My handy dandy black notebook right here, just a school book, but one day I'll decorate it and stuff and make it cute for the channel. I have rules for myself that I will read to you guys so you guys know exactly what it is that we're doing here. And then on pages following the rules, I have actually the albums and my review. First thing I want to say is the very first disclaimer. I am not a music expert. I mean, I play the flute, I can play the guitar a little bit, play the ukulele a little bit, I sing. So I guess that's just about as close to a musical experience as I have. I've never rated anything. This is the very first time, but I thought, hey, I listen to so much music. And I'm always posting about my music. We are going to dive into that today, into some of my favorite works. So these are the rules. 1, you must write down your initial impression. That was very important to me because my initial impression is not always my last impression. I will read to you what I wrote in my initial response. So you get the initial reaction plus the end reaction. So this is gonna be really great. You must listen for a full week. So what I always do is when I listen to albums, I have to give them a week if I'm gonna commit. It's just a very big important part for me. I have learned to appreciate music as art, and if you don't take time to really learn the art, how could you review it or how could you say anything about it? So I have to give it a week. It must be a reflection of the entire album. I can say what songs I liked best, and at the end I can talk about, if I don't want to buy the whole album, I can talk about what songs I liked best from the album. It cannot count as part of the series if it was just a song from an album. So that was the other thing, you know, it can't be TB or SOS if I'm talking about just one song. You cannot criticize the band because the album and the people are two separate things. I write that because sometimes you forget, you know, art is a very personal thing, and I'm gonna put that disclaimer out there. Whoever's album I'm talking about is not a reflection of who they are. I do not believe that. They're just a reflection of that phase that they were in, so how could I judge the individuals in the band? That will not be happening if you don't like the way I review something. What does that kid say? I said what I said and I mean what I said. That's how I feel about these albums. If I feel like my opinion changed, I will do an updated video of that. Don't take it too personal. It's just music, guys. It's just fun, and it's just supposed to be a good experience and a good time for everyone. I have not read any reviews or watched any reviews about these albums before I talk about them. Like, this is just solely me. I can get recommended from people maybe to recommend the album. They just can't give me opinions basically to put into this. This is my opinion. This is all my opinion. And then lastly, you must follow the questions in this series. So there's 6 questions, 1 album. Are you guys ready? Let's talk Bops. So the first album we are listening to today and ever in the series, The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. I wrote down everything. So question number 1, what drew you to the album? Not gonna lie, this is how I found out about the album. I actually knew about it before, but I was sitting in bed one day. I was listening to other music. There was a lick in the song. I don't even remember what song I was listening to. And I thought about like band camp for some reason and bands. And I started thinking about our bands that performed. They did this show. And I remember how mesmerized I was by the color guard at the time from that show. So we're gonna be talking about it. Question number 2, what was my first impression? I actually wrote it down, so if I'm looking down, that is why I'm sorry. So I decided to give this album a go, and literally it was the best decision ever. This album took me on a ride. So many highs and lows, perfect transitions and resolutions. The album was so perfectly executed. It felt like from start to end, it was one song and one main storyline. Incredible. Side note, my Spotify continued to replay the album after it ended, and even the last second, like the last note, perfectly transitions into the beginning of the first note of the first song, and it is absolutely brilliant. Like, actually the most brilliant thing ever. Question number 3, was I emotionally affected by this album? And what that means is, basically, did it make you cry? Did it resonate with you in some kind of way? And yeah, it flippin' did. That was my opinion. I don't know why, but okay, so this is how the album kind of starts. It starts with this sound, screaming, and then it goes into this smooth, cowboy, like, I can't even tell you, like, it's just that kind of vibe, like that old school, like, I'm facing my opponent and there's like one of those balls, like those hay balls. Like, that's exactly how I feel about this album. It just takes me on this journey that starts off in my head. The way I see it is like, that's the 4th question, by the way. Was there a lyrical imagery for you? And that's very important answering the 3rd question. Yes, there was, because what I saw in my head when I started listening to the song was kind of like the screaming in the beginning is just the people that are being affected by maybe the sun like scorching you or some shit. Sorry if my ideas or dreams get away from me. I think of the randomest thing, but the way that I thought of it was like the sun was scorching these people, and then the screams, you could hear the screams, and it was a flashback though, and then it gets into this like weird like cowboy vibe, and it's me or a man or whoever making their journey through life after this post-apocalyptic area. Go watch the Book of Eli if you haven't. That's 100% where I got like that imagery from. It's just this one very long take of music, and you know what that makes me feel like? It's the extending period of time, this never-ending hardship. And to some people that could be like, maybe they're trying to talk about the never-ending hardships of being a person, like going through life, and sure, that could be it, and I really do think that's what they meant like from it. Honestly, you don't get a break from life, you don't get a break from this album. The album transitions beautifully to, I think, basically make that point, you know? So the next question is, do you like the title and does the artwork make sense? I love the title. I have still not figured out why it's called The Dark Side of the Moon. I don't want to read why. Oh my god, I think I got it. That is exactly why you have to listen to an album so much, because you don't know when you're gonna find like other inspiration. Basically what I just triggered in my head. This album cover shows light directing one way into this triangle, and then on the other side of it there being this rainbow, right? I think what this album is saying, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say before I answer my last question, I think what this album is trying to say is that right now we can only see one side of the moon. It's just facts, that's just life. We can only see one side of the moon. However, there is this dark side of the moon, which in their album cover they're depicting this rainbow. What if the dark side of the moon is depicting this time, this journey through life, but reminding us that ultimately there is this other side of the moon that we are headed to after this, and that place is full of color. And you know, maybe I'm just being really far-fetched, but y'all tell me what you think. I think this has to do with life, people life. Listen to Speak to Me. First 50 seconds of this album is the sound of dollar signs, the sound of cashier machines, the sound of people laughing, the sound of people screaming. Those are all very common things you hear every day. That's where I got the idea that this could be based on this thought of like life. This is art. Like, this is such a great album. You will never find an album like this in your life. This is the only album I think I've ever heard from beginning to end, to beginning to end, to beginning to end, to beginning to end for hours. What do you think that this album means? Like, what do you think you're trying to tell us? What do you think that Pink Floyd was trying to get across when they talked about this album? That's what I'm thinking. I have 2 theories. So one, I said about the whole post-apocalyptic thing because of like the Western vibe that I was getting after the intro, and then after that I am also saying that it is about reminding us that there is life even after this. There is another side of the moon that we haven't seen yet. The 6th and final question is, do you like the album? Would you disc it? And yes, I would disc it. It is actually an album that I'm going to grab. I am mesmerized by this album. It is an album that I keep coming back to week after week, and I really do think I will continue to listen to it. Just an album honestly too, that I'm very curious about. But that was basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I was very nervous about filming it. I am still very nervous about your reactions. I hope you guys are enjoying TB. I hope you guys enjoy SOS. I hope you guys enjoy DD. I just hope you guest enjoy DEAREST, Dollie. I hope it's just somewhere that makes you feel like you are home and like you can express yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed me freaking out a little bit over music, me nerding it up, because this is genuinely something that I'm passionate about and a collection of mine that I love. You might want to stick around on my vlog, which is down in the description, but I will be doing a series on there too related to music that have to do with albums that I already have heard or own. Be on the lookout for that. I will keep you notified on the socials. Again, everything is at DEAREST Dollie. Enjoy your day. Subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends. Share music, guys. Like, share, give me advice, tell me your interpretations of what this album is in the comments, and give me some albums. I am like thirsty for albums. So that was 6 questions, 1 album. Bye.